Hey folks, it's Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. I thought it would be interesting this time to do a video on junk silver of the UK. As most of you guys know, in the United States, certain coins made before 1965 are 90% silver. That's what most people consider, American junk silver, pre-65 coins. In the case of the United Kingdom, you have somewhat of a similar situation going on. Actually, most countries had silver coins around that same period. In the case of the UK, pre-1920 coins, or at least certain ones, are sterling silver. Sterling silver is 92.5% silver. All of these are pre-1920 coins. All of these are sterling silver, 92.5% silver. Let's go through some of the most common denominations that we have. You have the crown, which is this one, right, 1889. You have a half crown. This is from 1900. Half crown. You have this is a florin. Florin. I think it's it's the 2 shilling. This is a shilling, 1 shilling. And you have a 6 pence, and you have your 3 pence, the tiny little one that you have here. Now let's check some of the weights that we have, how much silver we're talking about. Let's use this scale. It's not the most accurate one, but should do. Okay, have 2 silver eagles here. So that should be 2 point something, giving that the plastic bag. All right. So our crown, 0.9 ounces, 0.9 ounces. Remember, that's 92% silver. It's not fine silver, like 0.999% silver as you would have in your eagles. Okay, so keeping that in mind as well. Case of your half crown, weighing 0.43 ounces. The florin, 0.35. Shilling, 0.17. Sixpence, 0.08, 0.084, and the small one, the 3 pence, 0.043. All right. Now a few things, just so as to have a little bit more information. No coin expert here, but just a couple things to keep in mind. These would be the different heads that you have. This is the Jubilee head. This is called the Widow head, and this one would be the Young head. All right. So for comparison's sake, I have a silver half dollar, a Kennedy here, 1964. All right. Just as to compare it with the other ones. And this brings me to a few things that I'd also like to mention regarding coins. The first thing, first of all, know what you are, but know the other side of the equation as well. By this I mean, know if you are stocking on silver as a hedge for inflation in case of an economic disaster. That's perfectly fine, but it's also important to know the numismatic value of coins, even if that's not the reason why you're buying them. Why do I say this? Because sometimes it happens that a prepper, a survivalist, has a stash of junk silver and he doesn't even know that maybe he has something more valuable. Actually all of these have a numismatic value that goes beyond the value of the silver in them. Okay, and this applies to everyone. Even if you have a bag full of half dollars, Kennedys, 1964 coins, You may have, I mean, it happens with pretty much all of them. In the case of the Kennedys, you may have one that it's an accented hair coin. Maybe if you're not familiar with them, the accented hair coin is pretty much the same as a traditional 1964 Kennedy. The only difference is a few little marks more above the ear, the I and the Liberty, and very small, tiny difference there in the stars and the G right there. Those have very small differences, but if you have an accented hair Kennedy, that's worth about $50, $60, depending on condition. Okay, and the same thing happens with Mercuries, with quarter. I mean, pretty much with any coin that you can think of, there are certain specific ones that have way more value in terms of numismatic. And even if you're not that into it, or if you're not interested in it at all, it's really a waste of money to lose maybe a Mercury that's worth several $1,000s just because you don't know the value of what you have, right? So point number one, know what you're doing if you're collecting, or if you're stashing silver, but even then know the numismatic value as well. Second, don't clean your coins, all right? And this is why I brought this specific one. Okay, leave it as it is. Unless it has dirt that you can actually clean away with water under the faucet, unless that's the case, don't touch it. Don't try to make it shiny. Restoring or cleaning coins is as bad as restoring and cleaning old guns. All right, if you have a historical valuable gun, we know, at least those of us that know about firearms, you leave it as it is. You don't try to touch it, restore it, clean it, make it shiny. Same goes for coins. You're just going to be scratching and removing some of the value that it has. Since we're talking about that, even if within junk silver, get as fine a quality as you can. All right, try to get the ones that are least worn out. Two reasons. First of all, you're going to be having less silver in them, because the more worn they get, the less silver content you actually have, of course. Also, if there's any numismatic value, it makes a great difference. I'm talking about thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars of difference between a good, fine, extra fine, or very fine, or uncirculated coin. If you can, choose the nicest, better looking one that has the most amount of detail. One final thing that, before I even forget, we're talking about the British silver coins, pre-1920, all right, everything up until 1919. That's sterling silver, 92.5%. But then you have from 1920 up to 1946. Those would be the pre-1947 coins, which are actually 50% silver, and that's still quite decent, right? I have a pouch here with a few of them. These are all pre-1947 coins, and these are all 50% silver. And this is probably, if you're just looking to get junk silver in the UK, all right, up until that 1946. This is probably the best way to get the less premiums on it, the closer to spot price, to the closer to the price of silver that you can get in junk coins in the United Kingdom. Usually when you go for pre-1920, you have a little bit more of a premium, because you start talking a little bit about the numismatic value of those coins. In some cases, it's not really that big of a difference. In some other cases, yes, it is, especially with the older ones. Okay. One final piece of advice: even if it's just pre-1965 or pre-65 coins, you have certain coins in the United States that also have a decent amount of silver. In this case, the Kennedy 1968, these are 40% silver. The Kennedy's half dollars from 1965 to 1970 are 40% silver. Don't forget about the wartime nickels. Those between, some of the 1942 ones, from 1942 to 1945, those are 35% silver. Why? Because during the wartime period, nickel was so valuable that they preferred to put silver in them rather than nickel, which they were using for the war effort. Guys, that's basically it. Just a few tips, a little bit of advice here and there. Remember to subscribe, Don't forget that thumbs up, share. See you on our next video. Have a great day.